So I made 2 TikToks last week. One, how to make the best fighting game, and 2, how to make the worst fighting game. Both TikToks were made as a gag, like all my TikToks are supposed to be. However, people in my comment section were extremely vocal, and it really made me think, could there be a best or perfect fighting game? Well, I'm pretty sure the answer is no, and in this video I'm going to try my best to explain why. So if you haven't already, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get into it. When I started thinking of this question, I kept on coming to the same word, and that would be the word subjective. Which is the main reason why I think the best or perfect fighting game just simply will never exist. The idea of having the best of anything, I think, is impossible. If 100 people were deciding the best food and 99 people said pizza, but one person despises that and says it's burgers, pizza would not be the best food. It would be close, but you're still not appealing to everyone. And I think this describes fighting games well. What I think is the best fighting game may not be the same as someone else. They could have completely different experiences that change their outlook on any type of game. Person 1 may have gotten into Street Fighter more than Mortal Kombat as a kid because their local arcade only had Street Fighter, which put them on the path to like Capcom games more. While person 2 had a big brother who let them play Mortal Kombat when their parents weren't looking, which would lead them to love NetherRealm Studio games more. I remember as a kid getting a PlayStation 1 and Tekken 3 as a birthday gift. This set me on the path to absolutely love the Tekken series and eventually have a bias for it. Now that I'm older, I can definitely look at things objectively, but I still fall into my subjective ways and prefer Tekken over others. In fact, as a test here, let me know in the comments below what fighting games is the closest to being perfect. And while you're down there, check out the other answers. I bet you'd be surprised. My TikTok account is pretty much made to start a discussion of what fighting games people like. And I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot of arguments that happen in the comment section. Some of these people are simply trolling, but there are definitely some valid reasons why they don't like certain games and why they prefer others. But out of everything, there's only 2 examples that I've seen that are very important to players, and maybe the only 2 that everyone can pretty much agree on. Number 1 would definitely be an active fan base. I make jokes about dead games about once a week, but this is seriously a big concern for many players, and I totally understand why. Having an active community and a hefty amount of opponents is a must for a good fighting game, because there is a small fear of not having it. Putting effort into a game that is inactive feels almost like a waste. Imagine labbing a character for weeks to find out that no one wants to play with you. And not because they don't like the game, but because they just simply moved on to a different community because there's more people there. This would be gutting. As an example of this, the Dragon Ball FighterZ community is terrified of the release of Guilty Gear Strive. Many don't want to admit this, but it's true. There is a fear of the game kind of falling off to the wayside. Do I think Dragon Ball FighterZ is going to be a dead game? Absolutely not, but the fear is still there. The other big thing that I think everyone can agree on is Netcode. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, it's no surprise to anyone that Netcode has been beyond crucial for the fighting game community. Some would argue that this has made or break certain games. While games like Mortal Kombat 11, Power Rangers for the Grid, and even Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite have thrived because of their superior online, but games like Dragon Ball FighterZ, Tekken 7, and even Smash have struggled massively, which has reiterated the must for the popular rollback Netcode. Having it for any fighting game in the future, I think is an actual must, because I don't think the fan bases will accept otherwise. Now after those 2, we have to head back to that word subjective, because this is where I truly feel the idea of the best or perfect fighting game is just simply impossible. There is simply way too much division in the fighting game community. A good example of this is the rumors of the DC versus Marvel fighting game. This should have had the fighting game community rejoicing for such an awesome idea. However, it's almost completely divided down the middle. Anyone that is not a NetherRealm Studios fan, the company that was apparently making the rumored game, once again, this is all a rumor, voiced their concern, which I totally understand. Marvel's IP has always been taken care of by Capcom, and many of the players would have to learn a new style if this rumor was true. So having half the fan base upset is not a great start to being a perfect game. The idea of DC versus Marvel is actually a fantastic start to a perfect or best fighting game because it's a perfect IP to start with. But the fan bases are so divided before it's even official, doesn't bode well. And I'm not even going to get started on the different types of fighters between 2D, 3D, platformers, arena fighters, 2.5D. If you choose one of these, everyone else is excluded, so right off the bat, it's impossible to make the right decision. Another way that will divide the FGC is serving the casual fan base. This has been argued, I feel, forever, but every company that makes a game has a goal, and that goal is to sell as many copies to as many people as possible. So they do everything they can to bring in new players so they can sell more copies. And by the way, they do this very well. Katsuhiro Harada said Tekken 7 is 85% casuals, and they sold over 7 million copies. That's a lot of people. They're clearly going to cater to the 85% more than, the 15%, like the pro players, coaches, streamers, etc. And that doesn't sit very well with the 15%, and once again, I totally understand. If I was trying to go pro and there was a character that was breaking the meta, and they made changes to cater to the casual fan base, like customization or making easier combos, I'd be pretty pissed too. Which, while we're talking about companies, I'll bring up my final point, and it's probably the biggest reason why we'll never see a best or perfect fighting game. And that would be, why would they give you something perfect? They would have nothing to give you for their next game. A good example of this is the rumbling around the everyone is here idea in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. This has a lot of people wondering and honestly worried about what the next game will look like. Stacking a game with literally everything will put creators against a wall where they're almost doomed to fail. Now, of course, there's always a chance for innovation, but fighting games have always struggled with that to begin with. And I believe that's why they will always just give enough to where we're satisfied, and sadly, we'll fall for it. Now, this is also a good thing. It keeps our franchises alive. So when we're finally, kind of done with the game, we're ready for a new one, and hopefully the new game is in development or going to be released soon. But still, we're never going to see it the best or perfect. I think I've said enough here, and I'll be honest, I still feel there's more I could say, but what do you think? Do you think we'll ever get a perfect fighting game? Do you think we already have the best or perfect fighting game? Let me know in the comments below. For those who don't know, I stream on Twitch every Sunday and Tuesday. Come and hang out. I also have a TikTok account for FGC Sketches. Both of those links are down below, along with all my social media tags. If you like the video today, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. My name is Phil, and of course, I'll talk to you guys soon.